Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Amy McInerney, SBCERA's Chief Financial Officer. We're excited to be with you here to officially launch our Employer Reporting Initiative. This project represents an important step forward in modernizing and strengthening how we will work together. Accurate, timely employer reporting is foundational to everything we do. It ensures members' records are correct, contributions are properly allocated, and benefits are calculated accurately. This initiative is about improving efficiency, increasing transparency, and making the reporting process more streamlined and user-friendly for all of you. So here today, there's a picture of my reporting team. So John Ali is joining me today. And then also Christina Bahena, our senior accountant, Ling Yu, our accountant, and Erica, our accountant, are in our audience today. And they will take great care of you if you need any help. At any point during this project, if you need to get a hold of us, the best way to do that is through our group email address, which is employers@sbcera.org. And we have a slide at the end with all of our contact info, but just wanted to give that to you now. An entire team of accountants and John Ali ready to help you along the way. We have been talking about this initiative for over a year now, and I'm so excited that we're finally at this point to get the project running and implemented. We are partnering with you because the integrity of the data is paramount to accurate and timely benefits for your employees. We recognize that the pension benefits that you provide are an important component to your benefits package, and we want your employees' experiences with SBCERA to be smooth and as expected when retirement is near. So to do that, we are embarking on this project. The elements of the project will focus on security. We have a new way to transmit data that does not rely on the old, outdated FTP model, which will provide for a more secure transport of your payroll and employee information and data. None of us want to be in the headlines around our employees' data being compromised. This is a great solution to that, and it's a great step forward. Efficiency. Once we have achieved the desired changes and adaptations, this process will be more efficient than ever, both in the way you control your own payroll data, correct mistakes on demand, and for your employees when they are ready to retire. Data integrity. The most important element of this project is data integrity. When we receive and add the best, most accurate information from you into our system, your employees get the best and most accurate benefit estimates and eventually benefits. This project aims to create a way for you to transmit, correct, and report on data in the most accurate way possible. Ease of use. The new process allows employers to log in on demand for reporting of payroll information to SBCERA and to download reports for use in payroll administration. To ensure ease of use, we are offering training customized to you and your entity's needs, be it group training via Teams or on-site training at an individual level and everything in between. Reporting tools and reports on demand. Historically, employers have received little reporting back on what was transmitted to SBCERA, and we are out to change that. This new model and access will allow employers on-demand access to a variety of reports, which we are going to go over in a little bit. And don't forget, if you have any questions at any time, please just use that Q&A feature on your Zoom toolbar. John Ali will answer it or pop in with the answer. Some of you send us, let me say this, we get data in all different ways from our employers, and as part of this new project, we will have a prescribed file format. There's a box on the left side of your screen in HTML language, or I'm sorry, XML language, and then on the right side, there's one in English. But this just is a snippet, gives you an idea of what is contained in every batch. And In order for the batch to be transmitted successfully, you will have to follow the prescribed format exactly. Now, for those of you who just use the copy from prior batch detail and make changes, you will still have that option. This is just for those employers who choose to upload a file. And it will be very important that you will transmit only the data that we ask from you. Some of you give us extra data right now, and we're going to ask that you stop sending the extra data and send exactly what we need and only what we need to the point of data integrity. The mainstay goal of this project is to standardize the data and the transmittal methods amongst our employers. The standardized data platform will create more accurate benefit estimates for your employees and timely benefit payments, especially that first benefit payment for your former employees. There are several items that were once optional and will now be required as part of this standardization project. And we're just going to go over a few of those to give you an idea. For example, the employee's pay status. Employees must be reported as either active or on leave if they were in the prior batch. If there isn't enough pay to report earnings and contributions, the employee should be placed on leave status. So there will be a way to reconcile all of your employees that you report to SBCERA now. The employee's rate of pay. The rate of pay must reflect the hourly wage and tie to the base pay multiplied by the standard tour of duty. So this is going to help us validate some of the data you sent to us and will help us with applying the law to final average salary calculations as well. Employment type. This employment type would be full-time or part-time only. And it is critical. It helps us with that calculation of a final average salary, whether that's an estimate in the middle of an employee's career or their actual final salary at the end for determining their benefit amount. Inactive status. The inactive status applies to employees who are working in positions who are not eligible for SBCERA. So this would be for perhaps an employee who leaves an SBCERA covered position and moves into something like extra help. These employees would remain on your transmittal file as inactive until they either terminate or move back into a covered position. And then the termination dates for these employees would be submitted and certified before benefits can be administered. Retirement benefits can be administered. And then for department, job title, and bargaining unit, supplying this data to us will help us determine what amounts and pay items can be in the final average compensation. Again, helping us to apply the law correctly. Gender and marital status are required for actuarial purposes, and the marital status will also help us make benefit option selection easier when that time approaches for your employees. Timely termination date reporting is essential. SBCERA cannot administer benefits until termination is reported through the certified transmittal file. Associated hours for leave cash outs. So presently, what we get from most of you is the reported salary amount, for example, for a vacation cash out. And by adding the hours to this, it will help us, again, ensure that we are correctly applying the law to your employee's situation as it pertains to their final average salary. Address, a home address is required and not a PO box in the home address field. And for employees with a separate mailing address, that may be transmitted under the label of mailing, and PO boxes are allowed under the mailing address. For phone numbers, we would ask for at least one phone number, either cell or home, and we would happily take both. And for an email address, the primary email address reported by the employer must be an employee's personal email address, and then an additional work email is optional. The primary email address will be used for my SBCERA account purposes as well. And for those of you who are not familiar, my SBCERA is our portal that our members can use to log in throughout their career and after retirement. Reporting payments and deadlines. So all reports must be submitted and certified through Employer Direct, our new transmittal process. Payroll reporting. I'm sorry, I don't want to skip over this. This is really exciting. You can now copy the details from a prior batch into Excel and make your changes in Excel and then upload that file, which is really great if you think about, for those of you who have employees, you may be around 100 and you have a across the board change, maybe a rate update or a COLA that's being applied to your entire staff. It's a really easy way to key that versus having to use the cards inside of our pension administration system. So that is a really great new feature that we've added for you. Um, there is an employer direct training guide. I'm sorry, an employer reporting training guide that is available inside of Employer Direct. And of course, we will be offering training all along the way, and we are going to address that a bit in an email after this webinar. Payroll reporting is due 12 calendar days after the end of the pay period, and the payment is due 14 days after the end of the pay period. Timely reporting and payments really do help us ensure accurate and timely benefit administration. So we appreciate your help in being compliant with that. And we will be working on a new fee schedule for delayed reporting and payment submissions. And if that does happen, there may be a fee attached to that. And there's some mention of that in the employer reporting guide and more to come on that.
Amy, before we move on, we have a question.
Okay.
So our question here is, can we still submit the transmittal file and then add the required information after the file is in submitted status? So the answer is yes. That process is not changing. So if you copy your prior details into an Excel file and you upload that as a file, it's going to populate that scheduled batch number, put it in submitted status, and then our automatic job to pick those up for posting is still run after hours in the evening. So you'll have until that evening to go into that submitted batch and make any other adjustments that you'd like to change. I hope that answers your question. Feel free to drop any follow-up questions in the Q&A.
Okay, that was a great question. Okay, I mentioned a little bit earlier that once inside Employer Direct, you can, there are reports that are at your fingertips. So on the left side of the screen, that's just what the Employer Direct login screen looks like. And many of you already have a login to Employer Direct. And after this training, we will help you all get logins for the test environment. As part of this implementation and training phase, we are offering a test environment so that your IT department, your payroll specialist, everybody in the entire scope of reporting payroll to us has an opportunity to test their part, test it in its entirety, etc. On the right side is the home page, where you can see the cards at the top that show the most recent batches, and then a list of employer communications. So these would be maybe a notification that the system is automatically generating to you, or if we were to send a message, you would see it here on the home page.
Before we move on, I have a couple more questions.
Sure.
Okay. The first one is, are we able to copy specific details from prior batches, like by employee? So the copy from prior batch details still works the same. It's going to only give you 4 batch options: your last 3 scheduled batches and 1 unscheduled batch. So if you're looking to report something for like 1 employee in particular, or just a handful of employees, your best bet is to copy the prior detail from the unscheduled batch. And then you'll be able to populate that file with the specific details at that time. Now, I do want to mention that when you pull copy from prior batch detail into the Excel file, it's automatically going to pull all the required fields. So you will be able to drop in the appropriate info for those columns, for those specific fields there.
And John Lee, if they wanted to add an employee or remove an employee from that batch in Excel, that's as simple as just adding a line or removing a line, correct?
Correct. Yes. Okay, and then what if we do not have personal email addresses for our employees? That I'm not sure how we'll address, because we want to refrain from populating work email addresses as a primary email address, because there is a conflict with the my SBCERA. So we'll have to look into that one further, and I'll address that one with the group.
Okay. All right. When you when you log into Employer Direct on the left side of the screen, you'll see that black menu bar. The bottom, we've highlighted where you can find the Employer Guide. Employer Guide is a really great guide that has screenshots of how to do things. It walks through processes. It has the entire file structure in there. It lists out all of the exceptions and what to do. It's a really useful document. I do encourage you to give that a quick read and to have it at your fingertips as you're using Employer Direct. But also here you can select reports. And when you select reports, there's a list of reports that are available to you. And I just want to highlight a few of those reports to show you how useful some of them can be. First one I'd like to highlight is employee listing. So if you were to run this report, it would identify a list of all of your active employees that are reported to SBCERA. It would include SBCERA IDs, the retirement plan that they're currently enrolled in, their entry age, and their current contribution rate. This report is very helpful to identify perhaps a missed termination date for an employee or even to process rate changes. So it's great for you to have this information at your fingertips based on what you've supplied to us and is in our system. The next one is the employee summary. And this report is an opportunity to search by employee. And once you search by the employee, it would show you the service credit, the year-to-date salary, and the contributions for that member. And that is really helpful in identifying somebody who's approaching their 30-year service credit mark or monitoring contribution limits. And so for Tier 1 members, as they reach 30 years of service credit, they stop making the member contributions, except for, of course, the survivor contribution. And for monitoring contribution limits, it would help you watch that year-to-date salary amount on a fiscal basis for Tier 1 and on a calendar basis for Tier 2. Another report I'd like to highlight is the Employer Account Activity. We sometimes refer to that as the EAA. It is generated after transmittal batch, and it is sort of like an invoice that shows the total amount that's due after the file has been posted. There's a report there called the Employer Reporting and Voucher Numbers Report, and that is a schedule of all of the reporting and the payments that we expect for you for the year, and that is for all of your scheduled batches. So that could be really useful to run and to know exactly what calendar we're expecting and the batch numbers that you would use for each of those reporting batches. The batch detail change report shows any adjustments that have been made between what was submitted and what was posted. And this is really great for reconciling support for the payments that you give to us in the event that the amount on the batch isn't exactly what you're remitting to us. And then the batch exception report. This batch exception report will identify errors that must be corrected before a batch is considered timely. A batch is not considered timely until all exceptions are resolved and the batch is in posted process. An example of some of the exceptions that you might run into are perhaps a new employee that does not have the new hire flag checked in the record, or perhaps when the contributions are not as expected by the system based on the compensation that's being reported. When SBCERA needs you to make changes, we will notify you using a notification of change. Some examples include tier changes and contribution corrections, which are usually a result of something like a late established reciprocity. We can assist you in creating a batch and pension goal to make these corrections if you would like. When a collection amount is owed by the member, the employer must collect that amount and then remit it against the correcting batch. And again, we are happy to help you with any part or all of this task if you need assistance. Another example when we might use a notification of change would be when a member is approaching the 30-year mark, and we would send that to you in advance so that you will know that effective with pay period such and such, you would stop collecting contributions. Well, we are just flying through this, so hope there's some conversation at the end. Um, the implementation milestones. So we have a lot of training resources available to you now. We have the employer guide, which is inside of Employer Direct. And if you need help accessing that, we are happy to help you with that. We are recording this webinar and we will make that available to you and to anyone who missed this webinar and wished they hadn't. And also, we're going to do some additional group training, whole group training at our employer forum on June 3rd. So we hope to see all of you and more back then. But as of right now, after we finish this webinar, we're going to send you a form to help get all of your employees enrolled that you think should be enrolled in our test environment. And then we would like to hear from you how you would like help from us with training. For some employers, this might be very intuitive and somewhat simple, and for others, it may be more complex. And so we're here. And like I said, whether you want to do a group training at our site, you want to do a group training virtually, you want to do group training at your site, you want to do individual training at your site, individual training virtually, small groups, whatever it is you need, please just let us know. We have a team of people who are excited to help you with this implementation. And if you have a quick question, our email, employers@sbcera.org, is a really great resource. Somebody will answer you quite quickly through that route. And throughout this next year, we are here to partner with you to make sure this implementation is successful. And our goal is that we are all on track for implementation deadline of February 18th, 2027.
They do have a question here.
Okay.
How are the NOCs shared with us? Do you push them out or are they retrieved via your portal? So currently we actually email these to the designated payroll or contact staff that you've shared with us. So we either email them, we have the option to mail them. Unfortunately, at this time, we don't have the option to send documents through Employer Direct. We can only receive them from you. So I do hope to work on that in the future though, and have that as an option to be able to push them out to you through the portal. But right now, today, it's through email and or mail.
On the next slide, we've highlighted for you where on our website you can find our employer page, I'm sorry. And so on that page, this is where we will share the webinar. This is where we put our rates. We have some helpful video. We have a video library here with some helpful items, including copying a batch from a prior detail and using that Microsoft Excel tool. So this is a great resource to look to, as well as all of the training needs that we have.
And I do have another question here. So do employers have the choice on when to implement? In other words, sooner than the deadline. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I should say that. I should sound like the Gatsby. Earlier implementation.
Yes, that's highly encouraged.
They say. Yes, absolutely. So basically, what it is that all of these new fields that we will require from you are required in the test environment and are optional in our production, in our environment where you would send all of your true regular files. But if you are ready earlier, we are happy to switch those over. You could start implementing this tomorrow if you wanted to, and we are here for that. Definitely here for that. And as promised, here is the best way to contact us. So the phone number listed here is our employer line. So that rings to a group of us in the employer team. So that will probably go answered quite quickly. And if you do have to leave a voicemail, know that we will call you right back. There's only a few of us who monitor the line, so it's possible we're on another line. But that email address is a really great resource to use. You will get a fast response from us that way. And of course, there's our website. And I'm sure there's more questions, I would think.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, if you all think of questions after the fact, again, using our email address is a great way to send those to us. One thing I do want to remind you all of is as you are sending information to us, please be sure not to send any PII, as we would call it, any personally identifiable information. Um, Again, you can send us things through Employer Direct, and that is a secure portal. We just unfortunately cannot send them to you that way yet.
Yes. And we exclude all PII from our notification of changes. It will reference the employee's name and SBCERA ID.
Mhm.
I do have a question here. Will you be sending this presentation to us via email? So yes, we will send all of the attendees a link to the email along with the form for your Employer Direct training access. And then we have another question here. Where are the file specifications located? So those are in your employer guide. The Appendix 1, I believe it is the table of all of the code values, names, but there is also a sample of the, the file format specifically. Um, it's on page 21, section 4.
If there's no further questions, then I guess we will wrap this webinar up and let you all have a bit of your day back. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're here to partner with you, and we can't wait to help you make this successful.